Homerun Resources, ticker HMR, wants to become one of the leading players in the global market for high-purity silica, especially as it pertains to energy and industrial verticals. We're catching up with CEO Brian Leeners today to recap the company's progress over the last year and its plans for 2024. Welcome, Brian.
Welcome. Thank you very much for the invite.
Brian, it's good to talk to you again. And our last series of interviews dates from a couple of months back, last year in any case. So to start us off, please give us a high-level, very short introduction to what Homerun Resources is all about.
Great. Yeah, Homerun is a materials company. We have a very large endowment of critical HPQ quality silica sand, and we're focused on the entirety of the silica vertical from mine to manufacturing. Our manufacturing focus is really selectively directed to vertical integration within the energy transition that's going on globally.
Right. So there we have it. And let's fill it up with a bit more detail. So 2023 was pretty eventful for the company, I have to say. Lots of news flow, lots of things going on. Please provide our audience with a short recap as regards Homerun's different fields of activity, starting with your work in Brazil, perhaps.
Yeah, in Brazil, in 2023, we focused obviously on securing a very large HPQ quality resource. We can check that box now, and we're now in the process of producing a substantial initial MRE on that asset, and that asset will grow as we conclude other agreements within that district. In parallel with that, we've been planning the related mine, transportation, storage, and processing logistics and infrastructure, including early stage work on the manufacturing side, as I spoke to earlier. Also important, really important, is to note our success in the development of our R&D plans with the first initiative with our friends at the U.S. Department of Energy, NREL, in place, and there will be others moving forward in 2024, and there'll be more news in that area through the year. So all of the above, which is really important, was completed for less than Canadian $1 million.
Oh, interesting. That's certainly good to hear that you made great progress with a relatively small budget. But just a short step back, can you explain more about that initiative with the Department of Energy? I think that's an energy storage, right?
Yeah, correct. It's the Enduring Energy Storage System, and our initial focus within that system is to utilize the metrics of that system, in other words, the heat that's stored there, in order to upgrade, process our silica. We're already starting with a very high quality silica. It's our view and the view of NREL that we can utilize that thermal energy while we're storing energy within that system to upgrade, process the silica, and our goal is to get it to 99.99 plus within that system. We just need to work out how many cycles that takes, the logistics in doing that, and the integration of acid wash within that process.
Okay, so I guess that's going to be one of your areas of work or initiatives for 2024. So give us a bit more detail on that, what you're hoping to achieve this year, and then perhaps touch on the other fields too.
Yeah, we've tried to articulate our growth strategy clearly across 3 phases, and we've defined those phases fairly clearly over the last 12 months. But just to bring people up to speed, phase 1 was supply, securing supply. Our 2024 goal is to move this to 100 million tons of owned and permitted HPQ quality silica. And for perspective, if we achieve 5 million tons in annual production, we would already have a 20-year mine life or life of mine on that asset. So that's the supply side for 2024. On the infrastructure and revenue side, our core focus in the first half of 24 is to complete the mine, transport, storage, and processing logistics, and infrastructure planning and engineering, so that in the second phase or the second half of the year, we can start working on the implementation of those plans. And the first stage of processing to achieve revenue, scaling revenue, is literally to extract from the mine, which is a front end loader, wash, sort, dry, and bag. So we're not talking a large CapEx here, but we need to integrate that logistics and CapEx planning into a longer term stream where we're going to phase 2, which is physical processing, and phase 3, which is thermal processing, again, to achieve 99.99 is our goal. And once we do that, we're at the top of the pyramid relative to pricing in the global sector. And then last but not least, on that vertical integration phase, which is phase 3, we'll be continuing to execute on our engineering and the research and development plans. And that's really to secure a competitive advantage in the HPQ silica verticals, again, focused on those energy transition verticals. And we'll see lots more announcements, again, on top of what we've already seen with NREL over the balance of 2024 and obviously beyond, as being a materials company is our focus.
Great. Well, sounds you will have a lot of work this year too, not only last year. One thing that we just touched upon that briefly that I found interesting was the last press, or one of the last news you put out with regards to cooperation in Oman. Can you just very shortly give us a bit of info background on that?
Yeah, effectively, we're paralleling the strategy on Oman that we've done in Brazil. Our first initiative in that jurisdiction was to secure a relationship with the government. And MDO is the government's resource entity, just like in Brazil, in Bahia, the state we're in Brazil. CBPM is the government's resource company. So same strategy, different jurisdiction.
Okay, interesting. Now we'll see how that goes. So that's a lot of very interesting initiatives you have lined up there. But how does the company plan to finance the upcoming business expansions, and what does that look like for Homerun?
Yeah, I think this is a very timely question based on where we're at. And what I think, before I go into that in a little more detail, I think it needs to be clearly articulated that the strategic financing is really an incremental process of adding substantive milestone achievements with each round of financing, so that the valuation that comes from that achievement supersedes any dilution. And that's really important. In other words, we want the stock price to continue to rise on development so that we can continue to raise capital at a higher valuation, and hence the valuation takes care of the dilution. For context, we've achieved all of the above, I'll say it again, for less than 1 million Canadian. And our last financing was at 10 cents in March of 2023. And we've basically been drawing down against warrants over the balance of 2023. And we'll be doing some of that as well through 2024. We've got a tight operational budget for 2024. And once we've completed all of that logistics work and infrastructure planning in the first half, we'll then have a really good detailed CapEx plan and know what is required to achieve that scaling revenue with that first phase of capital expenditure. And so I think it's really important to alleviate shareholder anxiety. Our CapEx plan is to utilize majority, if not complete, debt financing for our CapEx development. And we've been in ongoing discussions with private and development banks in Brazil for that purpose. Those discussions were triggered by our 2023 milestone achievement of securing that partnership with CBPM and the state of Bahia. So, some bridge financing in the interim will be required, but it's not a substantive amount of dilution. And then that should be followed with our plan, which is to really focus on utilizing debt as the CapEx financing technique.
Okay, that's certainly good to hear, because of course it's always a shareholder concern, dilution process. When if you keep it to a minimum, and also if you can keep up to your plans and the development, as you said, and that works out to a rising share price, so that should be on the better side of things. Let's say that should be doable, I hope. Okay, well, thank you. That was a great overview. We'll be sure to talk again. While it's only the beginning of the year, there'll be lots of news flow, I suppose. So we're looking forward to talking again and hearing more. Thank you.
Yes, please. And thank you very much for the forum. We appreciate it.